recording.
Professor Untitled.
Ναι.
Νομίζω αυτός δεν είναι.
Εδώ είναι.
Το βάλε, το βάλε.
Have you uploaded the thing?
Okay. Okay. Μαϊμάν. Δεν ξέρω αν το βάλε αυτός.
Για να δούμε αυτό την presentation εδώ.
Αυτό είναι αυτό. Είναι ο Χασάν. Δεν είναι αυτός.
Αυτός είναι. Ζεϊντάν. Το έχει βάλει. Κάτσε να το αλλάξω. Ζεϊντάν. Κάτσε να το βάλω εδώ Ζεϊντάν. Εντάξει, Ζεϊντάν. Μπέβαν. Όχι. Οκ, αυτά δεν το ξέρουμε ποιος είναι, άρα who is Abdelmohsen? Is, yes. We also need the presentation. Oh, which is yours? This one.
MO strategy.
Μιλάς και ζούκα, okay. And how do I pronounce your name?
Ayman Abdelmohsen.
Abdelmohsen.
Yes, Abdelmohsen.
Forward and backward, just in case.
Θα το γράψω αν θέλετε.
Εντάξει, εδώ είναι, το έχω κάνει. Λίγο στο podium.
Α, δεν είναι.
Δεν είναι PDF,
power.
είναι PDF.
Full screen.
Dr. Ayman Abdelmohsen. Ναι, σαν Φαραγδαϊνάν, ο Ιωζενιένιος,
Μπέλφα.
ωραία. Και
τι θα
thank you.
λέω?
The first presentation of this session is this one. It's given by, μην το λες το ίδιο.
Ναι, δεν θα πω.
Ναι, και μετά we're joining us today,
Μαγία μου.
and I hope you enjoy your coffee.
Θα καθίσεις και εσύ εδώ κοντά μου.
Όχι, εγώ θα πάω θέση εκεί.
Μπράβο, ρε Φάνη.
Page display.
Το full screen mode.
Όχι, θα κάνει full screen εδώ.
Είσαι σίγουρος?
Ναι, ναι, από το view θα το δούμε.
Can you take my lap?
No,
Sorry?
Can you take my lap if it's a problem?
no, there is not a problem, but
Can change.
because it's PDF is not a presentation.
I think the previous one is also presented in video.
Yes, yes, we have to.
Μην το βρεις ακόμα, Κωνσταντίνε, sorry.
Νομίζω είναι εδώ. Να το κάνεις έτσι full mode.
Just a second.
Single image.
This one.
Αυτό. Ναι. Και μετά function είναι αυτό.
Yeah.
Και να το δω. No.
No, okay. Sorry.
Function. Because this is the thing
Yes.
that changes. This display.
Προσπάθησα να το προφέρω σωστά το όνομα,
Εντάξει. Πες μου, Γιώργο.
Γιώργο.
Ναι, το ξέρω. Πάντα μου λέει.
Α,
Είναι πιο εύκολο. Άιμα. Μπορείς να βρεις άιμα.
Abdelmohsen. Όμως τα ελληνικά σου είναι εξαιρετικά.
Όχι, και να είσαι τόσο εντάξει.
Όχι. Εμένα με ξεγέλασες πάλι. Να το κάνουμε Google.
Ποιος το έκανε να
Να σου πω, γιατί δεν το κάνεις απλά μεγάλωσέ το και ας το πω...
Ναι, γιατί δεν είναι παρουσίαση. Είναι PDF και δεν μπορώ να το στείλω πάνω στο screen. Έπρεπε όμως εδώ να το έβλεπα μια στιγμή.
Δεν νομίζω είναι αυτό είναι ο λόγος, επειδή υπάρχει άλλες PDF και έχουν ήδη παρουσιάσει.
Σήμερα δεν παρουσιάσαμε όμως άλλος PDF μια στιγμή. Ρυθμό, γιατί δεν βγάζει όμως άλλα. Ναι, βλέπεις, είναι όλα presentation. Εσύ είσαι αυτός, έτσι.
Δεν είμαι αυτός, αλλά εντάξει.
Το έχεις παρουσιάσει.
Ας με βρεις.
Το έχεις presentation. PowerPoint.
Ναι.
This one.
Ναι, το κάνεις.
So I think we are ready. Welcome back to the second part of our special day. And I would like to welcome Dr. Ayman Abdelmohsen to the podium to give us his presentation. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here with you. Thank you for your kind invitation. It's always a great pleasure to be here in Cyprus or either in Greece. I'm going to present Ministry of Antiquities strategy focusing on achievements since 2016 up now and what we are planning to do on the upcoming years. First of all, I'm Ayman Abdel Mohsin, Assistant to Minister of Antiquities. I'm in charge of development of archaeological sites and museums for the ministry. As we all witnessed, Egypt last in 3 years witnessed 2 revolutions, which has affected very badly economically, tourism, as we know. But as Minister of Antiquities, it's affected us on archaeological work. On archaeological work, as well in development of the project, because we were running different projects, but due to revolution and what happened, we couldn't continue these projects. If I'm going to speak about first about the archaeological and conservation works that we are focusing on, since then we started to focus on increasing number of archaeological missions, because most of archaeological missions was foreigners. So we start to focus more on local missions, which is headed by Egyptians, as well working in meanwhile for international approach to, as you know, as much as we have foreigners working in Egypt, it's good for promotion for our country, because it means that it's security and so on. So the second thing, we were looking for completing restoration and development projects. We had 13 projects, which were stopped due to revolution. Also, we are looking for providing a high level of security in archaeological sites, as well. One of the the worst things that happened due to revolution, it was traffic culture. It was quite distributed, illegal digging and so on. So if I'll take an example for increasing the number of archaeological missions. At the moment, we have 12 Egyptian missions, and total numbers of joint and foreign missions is 238, with from 24 countries. And most of them are from France, and then come Japanese, and as well we have, as I said, from 24 countries. This helped us because, as you will see, it's almost every month we make new discoveries, and during these discoveries we start to invite all ambassadors, which are located in Egypt, and every Saturday it's almost booked. And I remember Ambassador of Cyprus, as well the Ambassador of Greece. They said that every Saturday it's booked for Ministry of Antiquities, because they always were joining us during our ceremony because on the excavation. Here, if also it goes, it's some samples of the excavations or discoveries that we did. As we notice, it's almost every month we do. And also we start to work very close with the private sector. We organize events alongside these discoveries, and we have over 25 of international media. The newspaper, you can find that Ministry of Antiquities is almost weekly on the international newspaper due to these discoveries. And during the year we discovered almost 60 discovery, and we are aiming to reach to 90 per year. So the second thing that I'm going to present, it's a development project. We are completing over 20 projects which have been stopped after 2011. We are looking for opening of the Grand Egyptian Museum, as well National Museum of Egypt, of Egyptian civilization. It's by 2020. We start to build a successful partnership with the private sector. Now we have media arm. It's because our work is we do archaeology. We don't do media and promotion. So we started to have our media arm. We start to also present some archaeological sites with the private sector to be in charge of operation and so on. We start to focus more on caring and improving access to our collection. For example, since 2016 up now, we did for archaeological Islamic sites and Coptic over 26. We opened over 26 sites. For the museum, we opened over 16 museums the last 2 years. As well, for the ancient Egyptian sites, we did 21, opened the 21. Most of them were closed, and here some of them. And most of these places were closed. So start to make some conservation projects and to open them. For example, this, I don't know. Yes, this one. It was this is Unas pyramid in Saqqara, and we took Saqqara as example. If we start to focus on opening sites and make the media always mentioning Saqqara, how it would lead us. Number of foreigner visitors were in Saqqara almost 50,000, and since we start to make this in media, it reached over 130,000 per year. This one, and this it was closed since 1998. This building. Also start to focus on making some exhibition of replicas and in the Egyptian Museum Tahrir, which was closed since 2011 and it was unused. We started. This is another museum that we opened. Also, it was closed for 7 years, and we opened 2016. And everyone heard about what happened for looting artifacts in Minya Museum. It was totally, as you see in the upper photo. And this one, which is blue, it's after inauguration of the museum. And we took back or repatriated over 60% of artifacts, which was stolen. Here also another museum. It was closed since 2006, and we started to work on in Fayoum, and we have already succeeded to do it 2016. We started to make some projects to enhance the level of services in Egyptian Museum in Tahrir, and during the next November there is a big event we'll do there in regards to Egyptian Museum in Tahrir, because we are going, as you know, that most of artifacts were moved from Egyptian Museum in Tahrir or mainly Tutankhamun, and everyone thinks that the museum is going to be empty or alike, but this is not true, because it's a museum is full of treasures, and as you know, I'm quite sure that most of you visited. And also, I think we saw a newspaper about what happened in the Museum of Islamic Art. It was bombed during 2013, so we start to focus on working in it, and we have already opened it in attendance with His Excellency and Majesty President of Egypt during 2017. And quite later, we'll see that almost over 4 museums that were opened by President of Egypt. It means that the Egyptian government really pushing and giving her hand in the cultural sector. Here also, it's the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization. We are working with this museum in cooperation with UNESCO. And we opened the temporary exhibition hall, and by beginning of 2019, we'll open it as first phase with the 3 main galleries, and it will be opened the second phase with Egyptian Museum, with the Grand Egyptian Museum in 2020 in the same month. Here also, during visit of UNESCO director, we start to open and make, as I said, big events and open new tombs or sites for visitors for first time. And all of this, it helped us to promote and to have more visitors as well to raise up our income. This is also other examples from Aswan, in Alexandria, in everywhere across Egypt. And we started to do some conservation projects as this. It was almost 57 pieces of stones. Then we start to reassemble them. And whoever will go to Luxor Temple at the moment will find that this statue at the moment standing beside the old one. You see? Here also we started in the Islamic archaeological sites. We opened here also during 2017. Almost 4 sites in historic Cairo. It's one of the it's the biggest open air museum in the world for Islamic sites. Here also it's another museums in Matruh, in Cairo. Here it's a development project with cooperation with the French Institute in Saqqara. In Saint Catherine, also we we did 2 projects there, and this one of them was stopped since 2013. The other one was since 2005, and we started during 2018. We started also to focus on many sites across Egypt, not working only, and recently during August. We opened the Sohag Museum. It's in Upper Egypt. This museum, it was stopped since almost, we started to build it 29 years ago. So it's we accomplished, mission accomplished. And here I'll mention the most or the national projects. It's first one is the Grand Egyptian Museum, and second one which is National Museum of Egyptian Civilization and Giza Plateau. Everyone knows the Grand Egyptian Museum. Inshallah, it will be opened during early 2020. The museum, I'll give you a small hint about it. It consists of it's 500,000 square meter. It has the museum, which consists of 3 main galleries. One of them, which is dedicated to King Tutankhamun, which is 7,000 square meter. It's double the space of Egyptian Museum in Tahrir now. As well, it has the Children's Museum, Education Center, and Conference Hall, a hotel, landscapes, gardens, and Arts and Crafts Center, Conservation Center. The most important thing, it's the Grand Staircase. Its capacity or collection 87 objects. One of the most important object is King Ramses, that also did like a big ceremony during its putting it in its place. The museum consists of, after the Grand Staircase, we can reach to the galleries, which is presenting Egypt's history till the Greco-Roman period. Then King Tutankhamun, which is 5,000 objects, almost over 3,000 objects were never exhibited before. So this is the main thing about. Regarding transportation, the museum collection is 50,000 objects. We moved to already 43,000 objects and something. All of them have already transported and now store rooms, and we conserved and restored all of them. The conservation center, one of the most important buildings in the museum. It has 17 labs. It differs between the discipline. For example, there is organic, there is inorganic, and as well it has scientific labs for my colleague also will explain about them. Storerooms, depending on the collection. The second project, it's National Museum of Egyptian Civilization. As I mentioned before, we have already opened the temporary exhibition, and the upcoming 3 months we will open the first phase with 3 halls. The museum presenting 9 themes, starting from ancient Egyptian history till nowadays. It's about writing, state and society, mummy hall, and this is an example. Here also it's about Giza Plateau. Giza Plateau, if you visited the pyramids, this entrance will not be existed anymore. The entrance will be from another side, because we have a plan to connect the area between the Grand Egyptian Museum to Giza Plateau. All of this, it will be dedicated to as archaeology site. The project is once you enter from the entrance here, you go to the parking, you leave your car or whatever the bus, then you enter to visitor center, taking your ticket, then you enter into like this hall where you can have an experience. We have a project, we call it Rebooting the Giza Experience. It's about virtual reality, cinema, chaotic pyramids. Then it will be electric buses. It will not be allowed to have any vehicles inside, with many stops. Every site inside the Giza Plateau, you will drop off, and then you will have your tour. Then you can take the bus and move to the next. It has almost over 17 bazaar or gift shop. It has another entrance which is dedicated to students only. So we divided tourists and students. It has also restaurants, gift shops. This building has 7 bazaars, and it will not be allowed to have all of these camel riders inside. It will be quite limited. There is an area we call it riding zone, where visitor can enjoy in the desert. So it would be quite controlled. And this is an example for the riding zone. This is actual photo, and this is an example of the bus stations where tourists will be dropped off. There is also a helicopter port, and Egypt already built an airport next to the Giza Plateau Sphinx Port. So Cairo mainly it will be a day over. So there is another thing also I'd like to explain. We start to make something like tailored services. We start to make a Cairo bus, something we call it Cairo bus, and a Luxor bus, where visitors can enjoy Cairo attractions and Luxor attractions with half the price. But we raised up the price yesterday. So and also we start to make annual buses and family buses. We make sponsorship packages. So we as a fundraising method, we issued regulations for photography and cinema. We start to open certain museums night tours and exhibitions. We start to increase number of exhibitions. During 2016 we made 5 exhibitions, and 17 we made 8, and upcoming months we will double the number. And to start also to build the partnerships with international museums as well, foreign countries, as a loan for objects. Repatriated antiquities. I think we had experience with Cyprus late April. So there is here a number of repatriated antiquities from Cyprus. We repatriated 14 objects from Jordan with 340. So total numbers of objects that we were repatriated is since 2016 up now it's 1,179. but if we calculate coins, it will be 660 coin. And this is an example of the arbitrated objects. Also communication, we start to make newsletter, and we send it monthly to all embassies across Egypt. We start to host international public figures, so as a way to promoting, also to make lighting, sound and lighting at archaeological sites. Open the archaeological sites and the museums in certain days for free for foreigners as well as Egyptians, locals. And here there's some photos from the exhibits that we did. Also, we launched the ministry website, and by end of this month we will launch the international one. We have already made a website targeting international tourists. Also, there is here it's an initiative we did it. We call it My Museum in Your Classroom, and this is where schools can book a tour in the museum or archaeological site, and our curators can explain to them. And this is a Greek school, while they will have their tour in Giza Plateau. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And our next speaker is Dr. Hassan Ali. No?
Mr. Hassan. Yeah.
Farak Zaidan.
Okay,
thank you. Let's see what this presentation is now. Sorry. Nothing is moving. The floor is yours.
I have this. Good afternoon, everybody here. I would like to thank all people that invite me for this conference, which is the first conference for me outside Egypt or inside Egypt. We have a different scientific lab. Okay. We have different scientific lab inside Grand Egyptian Museum Conservation Center, which is FTIR and X-ray diffraction, scanning electron microscope, electron dispersive X-ray, transmission electron microscope, microbiology lab, microscopic polarized inverted upright and stereo microscope, fumigation lab, which all help conservator to achieve optimum condition for conservation procedure and restoration. Also, we will be received 2 portable devices in this month, which is portable XRF and Raman with portable probe. We use X-ray diffraction, as you know, which is non-destructive technique used to identify compound which have a crystalline phase. We have X-ray device with a model of analytical expert probe with software of high score. We contribute in conservation lab. Can you minimize? By participating with JICA to know more information about gilded bead and chariots of Tutankhamun collection. Participation in analysis. Participate in analysis of archaeological sample from the second solar boot as a Giza Plateau by the Japanese mission of and Waseda University. And also we can identify crystallinity of cellulose contained by means of XRD and FTIR for the first dynasty pot of Abu Rawash uncovered by the French mission in Egypt. And also study corrosion product of the weapon found in the underwater archaeological area as Alexandria, which is housed in Grand Egyptian Museum. And analysis experimental sample to know the method used for analysis Egyptian blue at 2015 by Dr. Basim Gehad, and also a lot of replica under environmental condition of Egypt. In the last 7 years, we participate for analysis of about 1,300 samples. About 22 of these for research in master and PhD degree in different of ancient Egyptian period as Pharaonic, Greek, Roman, Coptic, and Islamic. Many cooperation was done with JICA and Waseda University to study experimental data and replica done under environmental condition of weather in Egypt. Yes. Joint project inside GMCC. I'm sorry. One of the important artifacts which is present now in Grand Egyptian Museum, wooden gilded beak covered with gesso from King Tutankhamun collection. We're making analysis by using X-ray diffraction. We found that this bead contained a lot of parts of red gold. Investigation was started in the first phase to identify the different components of this phenomenon. So after examination of separated part of about 3 centimeters by XRD, and diffracted pattern was obtained using copper radiation, we found compound of a petrovskite, which consists of silver, gold, and sulfur, which may be the reason of this phenomena, but also we don't confirm this. And also we will start in analysis a lot of part of bead by using portable XRF and the same device. After we receive device portable XRF from JICA to complete identify this phenomena, and I wish to participate data with you after finishing it. And also an upcoming project is sunken weapon. Sunken weapon artifact was discovered dated back to the 18th century, and they were discovered under the Mediterranean Sea water near the modern harbor of Alexandria. It's being to be Napoleon. He is one of the leaders of the French campaign against Egypt. The weapons were discovered during the underwater survey by the Russian mission in cooperation with the Ministry of Antique in search for sunken ships. The discovered weapons were transported directly to the conservation center as the ground Egyptian Museum in order to start conservation work, investigation, and protect them to display them probably in the future. Most of the investigation was done only for conservation and the preservation, documentation to prepare them for museum display in 2020. Few objects started in the first phase to study many phenomena in cooperation with JICA, such as red gold of gilded bead and other tooth artifacts, and also sunken weapon. Finally, as the aim of this conference, the door is open to exchange archaeological data for these two projects, which is still under test. But under care of Ministry of Antique for the best method to achieve accurate result. So I hope to have a reference for my test in these two projects. And also I'm sorry that my English is not good. I hope to understanding me. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So our next speaker is Professor Marinos Ioannidis from the Technological University of Cyprus.
So long as the setup is taking, we'd like to say thank you. It's an honor to be here and to help and support Medstach. And yeah, it is the most difficult time now to give a presentation. Everybody's tired, everybody wants to relax and not to follow up. So I did my best in such a way so that I will keep you at least alive to follow what I will present. So, first of all, thank you very much. Today is the last day of the project, of the phase 1. Good luck for the submission. And let's hope the best, yeah? So, who we are. As you saw at the cover of the presentation, we are the newly established UNESCO chair on digital cultural heritage. There is in the entire world only one chair, and that's the one that we got beginning of this year. So, when we started March of this year. We signed the agreement with UNESCO. What we achieved up to now, where we are moving, awareness, dissemination, outreach. Of course, we are a university, education and research, innovation, policy making, and the community. What are the current and future challenges and which actions we are going to undertake, and this in relation to the Medstach challenges, in case that it will be a second phase, for which I am wishing to have a second phase. So, let's see how it works here. Yes, our name, Mnemosini. I don't need to explain to the people coming from archaeology what the Mnemosini is, but Mnemosini is an ancient Greek goddess and the mother of the 9 muses. She had a father and a mother. Mother was the earth, and the father, choice, heaven, isn't it? So, and of course, the 9 daughters, and the 9 daughters were responsible, each one of them, for a certain area of cultural heritage, starting from Calliope going up to Urania. Urania had even the name of the father, of the grandfather. Yeah? Uranos. Yeah? So, and Urania was responsible for astronomy. On that time, astronomy was what? Was philosophy, was science, was mathematics, was all this what we know today about the excellence of the Greek civilization. Now, looting and destruction of cultural heritage. Looting and theft of cultural heritage, I do apologize because something went wrong here and we missed a very nice video clip which I prepared, and this is actually the presentation of who we are. Sorry about that, but this is if you don't use your own technology. So, Cyprus received, that's the results, June 2018, 120 million from the European Union, very, very high competitive funds. Our laboratory received 7 million, and that's 4.3% of this what Cyprus managed to bring to the island. So what we do, as our name says, digital, yeah, cultural heritage, only that and nothing else. Starting from the monument, a nice one, very simple, geometrically seeing that, yeah, handmade, 1,000 years old, somewhere in the middle of the island on the mountains of Troodos, digitizing, making a replica, using very, very simple, low-cost technologies, but not only a church, even a cave, the San Neophytos and Clystra in Paphos, a monastery, which is unique also for the architecture and whatever it is there, so far as historical value concerned. And what we are doing with that, we are trying to recycle the data and use it in such a way so that we can promote, or let's say first, to preserve and archive, use and reuse and promote the content, the heritage as such. And for us, digitization doesn't mean alone the tangible. We take care also of the intangible. So the monument, as you can see there, is unique, has an outstanding value, universal value, because of the frescoes. So we take the monument from the middle of nowhere on the island and we bring it to the school, for example. So we do also a lot of publications, and as you can see here, 962,000 downloads from our conferences organized every second year here in Cyprus since 2006, so 7 times, no more than 7 times, 962,000 downloads. We are ranked place 8 worldwide in e-selling books by Springer Nature. So, and we take the monument and we bring it to the school, or we do outreach. And you see here how the kids with their parents are actively involved in whatever sense. Of course, we're organizing the conferences, we're networking, we have several kick-off meetings, awards, and so on and so on. We are working with the Council of Europe, we're working, and this year, the Year of Cultural Heritage in Europe, we received the two distinguished awards, the UNESCO Chair and the European Union Chair on Digital Cultural Heritage, with an amount of 2.5 million euro, exclusively for us. So these are the projects. We started in the year when Cyprus economically collapsed, 2013, 5 years ago. So this is a volunteer project started in 2013 with the slogan, "Behind us are the memories of our fathers, grandfathers, in front of us, the eyes of our kids." And what we did, we opened the houses, we opened the photo albums that each one of us has at home. We started digitizing the content. And as you can see, that's the memory of Cyprus, a part of the story of Cyprus hidden in our houses. And we digitize it, we store it, archive that, and via Europeana to the entire world. Our goal was just to digitize 4,000, and now we are by more than 50,000 photos. Out of this, we would like to create the photo album of Cyprus, and out of that, it will be a genealogy tree of Cyprus. It will be a piece of a story from the first day when the first photographer arrived in Cyprus. And that's a part, just only a part, of those who are collaborating with us. And that's 80% of the communities, of the villages and the municipalities in Cyprus. And people coming every week, every day to the laboratory with small shoe cartons fully packed with black and white photos. Of course, we digitize it and we give it back to them. That's the next milestone, which is a conference which we are organizing here in Nicosia by the end of the year, and I will come at the end to mention to you 2-3 words at the end of my presentation. Now, Mnemosini, we mentioned that. Yes, looting and destruction, we heard a lot about that. It is a worldwide criminal industry. And this is what is very important here. It is that it's the third biggest black market following weapon and drugs. That's cultural heritage, yeah? So, and this statement doesn't come from me, it comes from the Department of Justice in USA. So, and a very, very good statement here. War is good for us. We buy antiquities cheap and then sell weapons expensively. A very famous person, if you find him, you got the lotto. You won a lotto, millions from Interpol. So, looting and destruction of cultural heritage, we don't need the ISIS. We as Europeans, we did even more as ISIS did up to now. And that's the truth. If we don't want to believe that, then it's one of the biggest problems that we have with ourselves. I will start with a nice one example. 26th of September, 330 years ago, in Athens. You recognize the monument? Of course, you are coming from cultural heritage. This is one of the 7 world wonders of the world. This is the symbol of the democracy, and that has been shooted, bombarded by a very famous general coming from Venice. And this general did a right one documentation, a correct one documentation. You see the drawings? You see, he printed even the coins. And that was his achievement, showing, yes, now I bombed the Turks. I killed everybody there. So, and documentation with the destruction in Europe 100 years ago. You see here, this is a postcard. If you can read in German, it states on the upper part, the Turm 1, the tower as it was. And on the other side here, und jetzt, and now. And at the end, durch Granaten zerstört und niedergelegt. Forever destroyed and demolished. That was the cover page of a postcard, and this is the backside of the postcard. And as you see the post stamp over there, it's from 1917, 100 years ago, during the First World War, and the monument was on the side of France. And that's a postcard from a German soldier to his wife. Look, that's what we did. We achieved, yeah? So, and this is a man-made destruction made in Europe. And the Europeans said, never again, and that this is a real document, certified. It comes from Europeana. It's not that I found it, huh? It's not fake. Nevertheless, we move from the First World War, Second World War. We stay in Germany. You see what is that? That's at the entrance of the National Museum in Berlin. This is a photo there. I took it from the director of the National Museum. And the gentleman there is the curator of the National Museum at the end of the bombardment of Berlin, looking to find God in the ashes. A piece of the rest of the treasure, one of the most famous and important treasures in the world, Troya. And this is the photo. This is at the entrance of the National Museum in Berlin. But if we continue, you see here, the deputy curator of the museum in Baghdad. And you remember, all of us remember the story here. And here, this is the deputy curator of the museum in Kabul. So you see, Berlin, Damascus, Kabul. And of course, we know all the stories that we heard this morning and so on. So, nevertheless, we said at the beginning, never again in Europe. Europe, during the presidency of the Council of the EU, from Cyprus, received a special award. Nevertheless, if I will go back to the treaty of the functioning of the European Union, then we see that on the article number 3, it states clearly, we are a union, united in diversity. We are a union because we have something common, and that's our culture, the European culture. And this is very important. Article 167, it's clearly stated, because this unique culture exists in the world, we have to undertake all the measures to preserve it and hand it over to our kids, to the generations to come. So that's in the treaty of the functioning of the European Union, why Medstach has to go for a second stage. And of course, in 2012, the European Union received the Nobel Award for Peace, yeah? In Varietate Concordia, United in Diversity, ladies and gentlemen. So, European Year of Cultural Heritage in 2018, celebrating the diversity and the richness of our European heritage. I would like to show to you, just only because we are the Union, 1/4 of UNESCO's intangible heritage is here. 6 of the world, or out of the 10 most important monuments, it's here. It's not here in Cyprus, but in Europe. We are Europeans, yeah? So a very short one video clip. And I'm moving to this, it has been mentioned today by the General Secretary of the Ministry of Greece, Tourism of Greece. Here are lists, some data listed about the different kind of sites, starting from the Colosseum of Rome, 6.4 million, 80% of all visitors, even businessmen, are going to visit the site. The Vatican Museum, the Parthenon, Museum of Louvre, Schönbrunn, they make even a profit out of the site. We had the first director of the site 2 years ago here in Cyprus as a keynote speaker, where he explained to us they make every year 20 million profit from the visitors to the site, just only one site, Schönbrunn Palace. The cathedral in Köln, the Van Gogh Museum, and of course Malta and Cyprus. These are data coming from Eurostat. So, okay. And now it comes, recovery of knowledge. Ladies and gentlemen, if you go and visit the National Museum in Greece, at the entrance, you will see these objects here. By seeing these objects, do you understand what it is? No, of course, yes, of course. You are Greek, huh? Come on. So, if I will focus a little bit and zoom in and so on, you see is an object, which is not clearly visible what it's all about. If we now go and use some ICT technologies, let's say the invention of Madame Marie Curie, X-rays, then we see that there is something, but inside, which is suspicious. Nevertheless, this is the oldest analog computer of the world. Now, let's go and see what the ICT is doing. First of all, is digitizing. Is digitizing? Again, we digitize 3D objects. That's the result. This is what you see there. And this is what is presented to the public. If we go further and we see other images using different kind of technologies, then again, but there is something which is unique. If we investigate more, then we will see, there is something which is, it needs more investigation. So this object has been discovered 100 years ago. It was more or less 1908. outside of at the ground of the sea of the island Antikythera. That's the name is Antikythera mechanism. It was a coincidence from fissures. And 20 years ago, people started voluntarily worldwide to do an investigation, to find out what is all about with this object. And please follow up this small video clip to see what is hidden in this very complicated object. That was a real mechanism. But please follow up and concentrate to see how long you can follow up the complexity which is behind. And it is not visible, it is not understandable when someone enters the museum, the National Museum in Athens. This is, as I mentioned at the beginning, the oldest analog computer of the world, 2,500 years old object. And you see here an animation, modern animation, of how they cracked the object, the invention, the patent of that time. But these 40 scientists didn't stop here. They are still working because they are interested to know what a knowledge was available on that time, what a kind of machinery it was available to produce such a genius mechanism. What was the knowledge on that time available? And this is what they found, and that's not yet published, is that Copernicus and Kepler, whatever they discovered, it was not a copy-paste from this what the Greeks on that time knew. Is because they reinvented that. That knowledge was evident on that time when they produced this mechanism. The Library of Alexandria was destroyed. It was not possible to have access to this knowledge. Nevertheless, this is one of the most complex inventions of the world, and it's there, not visible. When someone is going to a museum, to visit the museum, to see the object, to see the original object. That's a prototype of the mechanism, how it was on that time, yeah? But I want to accelerate and show to you another one video clip of what other volunteers did out of this mechanism. And please have a look. The not so complicated, the easy, the first version out of the mechanism. If you see here, they integrated that and they created a clock. And as you can see here, in a laboratory at least, it works. This is when we say recovery of knowledge. But as archaeologists, this is what you do every day when you go for excavations, actually. You are trying to recover a part of our past, a part of our story. So, that was an object from a museum, yeah? If we go now out to an object and we take a monument here from Cyprus, this is again one of the pictures from the time when the first photographer arrived on site, 1909. It's from the National Archive here in Cyprus. And you see, this monument, it is listed by UNESCO. It's a World Heritage List. Can you compare that with the tomb in Köln or with the Strasbourg Cathedral? Can you compare it? Again, compare it with the museum object? Nah, we don't see anything from inside, from outside. Sorry, that's it. If we go and digitize it and try to reconstruct it, this is what we get out of that. Comparison to the object of the museum. And, of course, if we go inside, then you see the beauty. And this is what UNESCO is saying it is an outstanding universal value. Yeah? So our monuments, archaeological sites, museums, and archives have a story to say and to explain to us. Actually, they are talking. We stand in front of them, they send us a message. But we are not in the position to get the message. We don't know the language to communicate with these objects. So, and the questions are, can we understand their language? Can the ICT revolution support us? And I can say, I can give an answer, Medstach can do the first step forward in this direction. And of course, and on this time period, worldwide, we are trying to do what? To document digitally the past, the story of the humanity. There are no standards. There are no standards for the digital documentation, for nothing at all. And here is where we are. And I will accelerate here, coming to the end. As I mentioned at the beginning, first week of November, from the 29th of October, which is Monday, to the 3rd of November, which is Saturday, a week long, we will be here in Nicosia again at the Philoxenia Center, at Unsere Conference Center, and we are organizing in cooperation with the European Parliament, the European Commission. They sponsor the event, actually. What is the beginning of the future? And it's there. If you can please read it, it's on how digital technologies can contribute to the preservation and restoration of Europe's most important and endangered cultural heritage sites. But we heard today something about Hellenistic time period in Lebanon, in Syria, in Jordan, in Egypt, and all these things. Here, this is also European culture. And, of course, which technologies need to be developed? Future technologies. And then, at the end, the second paragraph, which standards have to be developed? This is going to be a part of the next framework program of the European Union, which starts in 3 years from now, and it will be a big investment. All of you have to be here on the 29th of October in Philoxenia, not so far away from here, 1-2 kilometers. Be here, the European Parliament, the European Commission, those who are going to invest in this area will be there. It's free of charge, the event. They sponsor that. We have to contribute. We have to give to them our feedback. Thank you very, very much, and wishing you the best by saying this one slogan, which is for you also, for the Medstach. Yeah? Our cultural heritage is more than the memory and the story of our past. It is the key to our future. Several times we say, lesson learned from the past, isn't it? Voila. And that's not a message from me, it's from the commissioner in charge of cultural heritage in the European Union. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so last but certainly not least, I would like to invite Professor Andrew Bevan for his presentation. You have your presentation here?
Yes, on that.
Perfect. Thank you.
This one?
I guess. Yeah. Okay, well, afternoon. You're all probably quite tired, but I want to give you an exercise in cheerleading for Medstach. and for, on behalf of my institution, for the role of University College London in that venture. And I'd like to start by stepping back and asserting what many speakers have already mentioned today already, that we face a threshold moment, really, a point of no return with respect to how we handle evidence in archaeology and heritage, how we handle the enormous amounts of information that are arriving on our doorstep. So I call it the data deluge. And it's not really one flood. It's more like a drip, drip, drip every single day. But in archaeology and heritage, regardless of our subfield, whether we're working underground with excavations and the like, or we're working overground with standing buildings, enormous amounts of information are appearing. Traditionally, you could say that goes back a long way, particularly with the rise of commercial development that brought extra excavations, extra rescue excavations, that sort of thing, and that's a story decades old. What is increasingly clear, however, is that a lot of that information both is and has to be digital in form in its final resting place, if you like. It's recorded digitally. It's also frequently spatial. That is, it's georeferenced information. It's largely meaningless without that contextual information about where it was found, how it was found, where in the world. It's increasingly open. What do I mean by that? There's an ethos that says, particularly with regard to public funds, but frankly by default with regard to all cultural heritage of the world, that it should be disseminated transparently and under licenses that encourage reuse by people around the world. So open licensing, open access, open data, open methods, these are all strategies for making cultural heritage more accessible that we should all sign up for. And Medstach, amongst others, very much subscribes to that ethos. What do I mean by data being sometimes social? Well, the challenge in the present world is to do fancy research whilst also facing forward towards the public and collaboratively producing new knowledge. And that's a really different kind of way of doing academic research, certainly, than the traditional model of somebody scratching away on a parchment in an ivory tower. That means that we need to develop methods that engage with the public from the start, not just present them with results. And that's a difficult one, but something that there are all sorts of new strategies which move in that direction. The data deluge is also often remotely sensed. That is, there are huge numbers of technologies that have arrived in the last decade, I'd say, that constitute a remote sensing revolution. Whether it is terrestrial geophysics, so ground-penetrating radar, for example, large-scale magnetometry, pushed and towed arrays of all kinds that cover huge, huge areas with subsurface techniques, they've become incredibly important in the last 10 years. People have already mentioned 3D photogrammetry, utterly revolutionary in terms of its impact on standing building recording, excavations, anything you can object recording. That is the use of an ordinary camera, whether it's a mobile phone camera or a slightly fancier one, to record 3D objects with overlapping photos using software to reconstruct camera position. That's incredibly important. It removes, not entirely, but it removes a lot of the need for the techniques previously used, for example, in artifact drawing and excavation. Or if you're like me and you think that's a little over the top, it transforms what those traditional techniques should do, their role in the present day. So that's just some flavor of the data deluge as a challenge, really. And I think Medstach as a concept signs up to that whole agenda. What do we do with this, what in English you'd term an embarrassment of riches? That is, it's potentially embarrassing if we can't do something good with all of this heritage information. It's a challenge to us. So that's just a scene setter, really. Part of what I wanted to say in this talk is really to tell you about why UCL is an incredibly enthusiastic partner in this kind of venture, and how well it fits with the whole ethos of Horizon 2020 teaming program, and Medstach in particular. So the Institute of Archaeology, where I work, is a department within the University College London, and we've had an agenda of supporting a global archaeology for decades, whether it's with regard to flagship projects, whether we're working at Stonehenge, or Olduvai Gorge, or Merv Oasis, or at the mausoleum of China's first emperor, or on Easter Island, which are all ongoing projects. There's a feeling that these are situations where both methodologically and substantively we should be comparing and contrasting and sharing knowledge. And that's part of what a global heritage, a global archaeology would involve. So that fits very well with the kind of Medstach ethos of using a core of incredibly good Cypriot archaeology, but making it speak outwards to a wider region. UCL's Institute of Archaeology, I won't sort of go into too many numbers, that's a little bit too much for the afternoon, but UCL's institute is unusual in shape and scale, really, and I think that's a useful addition to the overall program proposed here. For example, we have 200 undergraduate students, 275 master's students, 140 PhD students. That's a particularly fizzing group of research that I had the privilege of working with for about 5 years in terms of overseeing that program. A lot of interesting global archaeology going on there. 20 postdocs, 60 plus teaching staff. That department has had a commitment to archaeological and heritage science since its get-go, really. Whether you're talking about geographic information systems and sort of modeling of landscapes on your top left, 3D modeling of objects, such as your bottom left, modeling of materials science, materials science analysis, such as in the middle panels, geoarchaeology, archaeobotany, zooarchaeology. These are all areas where we have permanent postings, we have many students working on these topics, and we try to think of them comparatively across different regions. Stepping back, the university has a vision, a strategy document, if you like, about cross-institutional initiatives that couldn't be better fit to this kind of effort if you wanted it to be. So, for example, the catchphrase is increasingly global independent research capability. That's what UCL wants to foster, is an increasingly global independent research capability, tellingly without expanding the institutional footprint. That means it wants to collaborate and build capacity elsewhere, not build empires for itself. And that really is a perfect fit for the ethos of a teaming initiative, which has got longevity, but doesn't necessarily promote UCL itself as a brand. One of the things I think which is interesting in terms of initiatives with regard to Medstach is the fact that UCL can bring to bear some experience with regard to applied heritage science. And I just want to mention two, if you haven't heard of them before. So SIHA was, I'm going to get this acronym horribly wrong, Science and Engineering in Arts, Humanities and Archaeology. It's a doctoral training center, a training center for PhD students that got awarded money from the national funder to fund 5 years worth of PhDs focusing on applied heritage science. So at 3 universities, including UCL, UCL was the lead for several parts of it, we were training students in the kinds of heritage science that apply to conservation of objects, conservation of wood, 3D modeling for documentation, and they went through a master's program and then followed up with a PhD program thereafter, with collaboration from commercial sector partners as well. So it's that idea that you cross institutional boundaries and seek to create applications for the scientific research that I think is an important one possible model for the kinds of activities that Medstach might get involved in. Another one which I think is important is the Center of Applied Archaeology at the Institute of Archaeology, whose focus is very much on taking what an ordinary academic department does and apply it in the realm of cultural resource management worldwide through consultancy, and indeed in terms of cultural heritage mitigation. So in the UK, that would be a company working to fulfill the duties of rescue archaeology in front of commercial construction, for example. So a commercial arm, if you like, to the ordinary activities of a department. So I think those are interesting models in terms of ways of making academic heritage, scientific results from archaeology and heritage, speak with more volume to a wider array of stakeholders. I thought I'd throw up a few, I wonder what you call them, hero badges, I'm not sure what the right term is, examples of links between UCL and Cypriot archaeology that have already existed, and I've only put up a few here. It's a bewildering array of connections between the department in London and Cypriot archaeology, and I just wanted to flag up a few. And that goes for prior projects as well, so projects that have really had a major impact, such as Narnia, and wonderful displays generously supported, such as the Leventis Gallery that sits in our department in London. So what I mean by that is there's a legacy of collaboration that should and will be built upon, which I think is really exciting. Also, just the success and track record of EU teaming, just to name the two that have already been name-checked here, Rice and Chios, and the 10 or so teaming projects that are currently on the go at UCL. I think that bodes well in terms of our collaborative strengths in this area. Part of what we did in this past year was compare other centres that had slight overlaps with what Medstach might want to do beyond Cyprus. So looking at what we could learn of the strengths and weaknesses, where people, for example, try to do digital humanities, or have a focus on spatial analysis in archaeology, or have a focus on 3D digital reconstruction, or on materials science, and say, what do they do well? What have they struggled with? And frankly, all of those people have been incredibly helpful in describing the challenges. And how can we learn from that? And I think the really positive thing is that there's some really good models out there, on the one hand. On the other hand, there's nothing really quite like what Medstach is proposing. So, that's a really positive view of things, I think. So I won't tarry. I've got one or two more slides to talk on. This one's just a personal one, really. And I don't mean by this to impose any kind of intellectual vision of quite what the key challenges, I've put the title in here, the key challenges of archaeology and heritage. That's a bit too grandiose. However, I do think some of these areas in orange are really, really important, and I'm massively reassured that they're sort of core to the Medstach mission as currently scoped. Harnessing the data deluge. It's an embarrassment if we don't deal with all of this information well. To do so, as people have already noted, we need better standards, we need open standards, we need to impose reproducible analyses, ones that people can take away and reproduce again. We need to work at both the small, detailed scale of individual objects and at the large scale of the entire European or Asian continent. We need to increase scientific literacy and numeracy in our student populations. That's a key thing, focusing on digital technologies, and something which is a challenge worldwide. We need to protect endangered heritage. There's been a lot of important commentary on that today, which I won't go over again, but antiquities trade monitoring, visitor management, object and site conservation, clearly areas where the scientific techniques can turbocharge our efforts. Modeling the co-evolution of cultures and environments. One of the wonderful things about the dense archaeology of Cyprus is to watch in the same landscape different strategies of subsisting, living, competing, cooperating through time. Those are co-evolutionary structures of what human culture does with regard to environments, and there's a real agenda there to push forward that modeling techniques, materials science can really contribute to. Shaping the remote sensing revolution, LiDAR, GPR, hyperspectral imaging, 3D photogrammetry, and a whole range of other techniques a good center needs to push forward that agenda in its own image, if you like, not simply respond to those fun technologies as they emerge. And I think that's something that can very much be achieved here. Understanding technology in society, operational chains as they're called in the fancy literature, industrial landscapes, deep technical traditions and their cultural consequences. Materials science is very well placed to address those agendas. And finally, rethinking how we do public-facing research and learning. How a public archaeology, a cultural heritage that faces the world, how that works in 2D, in real life, online, in 3D, as augmented reality, as virtual reality, or if we choose to try and crowdsource it, as they say, in a variety of ways. So these are really exciting frontiers, and I think the promise of Medstach is very much across those different possibilities. You can see, as Fedon evoked earlier today, the 4 key research domains proposed by Medstach: archaeological prospection, spatial analysis and geocomputation, built heritage, materials analysis. These map on in interesting ways to those broader challenges. And if you also take what Fedon spoke about with regard to how we engage with a wider stakeholder community, then I think the future looks rosy. Thanks.
So I see there is a discussion session now, so we have our discussions. Just going to get out of the way.
Dear colleagues, I think since it's 4 o'clock, you will allow me to say some remarks on behalf of everyone to close the conference on a positive note. Perhaps some of you, rather than having the discussion, because I think many of everybody is ready to move on. First of all, I would like to say that I'm sure some of you, when you saw the program, were wondering, what are we doing? Because there was such a wide variety of subjects, and maybe initially they didn't seem to connect to each other. I hope sincerely that by the end of the day, you have followed through our thinking and see why we invited the people who were here, and what we hope to do. Many of the issues that were raised through everybody's papers were the same. We do face the same challenges. We do have the same dreams, and we do have the same plans for the future. Also, one of the key issues that came through is that in order to fulfill these plans, what is needed is a collaboration, interdisciplinary, interinstitutional, interstate, at all levels. We need people to do this, and I think one of the most important aspects of the Medstach project as a teaming project is that the funding is not to build infrastructure. The 15 million euros is not to buy new equipment. It's not to do, but it's to build human infrastructure. The funding from Europe comes to build the new generation of young scholars, to support them and to bring forward the subjects that each teaming project is applying for. KIOS, which is the Center of Excellence of the University of Cyprus from the previous call of teaming, as our rector has said, is now employing 200 new scholars. You can imagine what a change this will bring in the field that they are specializing. This is what we hope to do with Medstach, with our partners, and with new partners and partnerships that will be forged in the future with people who we have invited, with people who are already in Cyprus and are leading other institutions that are involved in this subject. It has been a very long year. I think you can see how exhausted we all are. The deadline is this evening at 11:59. The first phase of the Medstach project closes. Everybody has worked very hard, and I think we need to acknowledge and thank everybody who has worked for the project, for preparing the proposal, and who will still be working to submit the proposal for phase 2. We have another deadline, 15th of November 2018. So within 2 months, we have to submit the next phase. This consortium came together very much like this conference came together. Friends and colleagues who have been working for many years together and joined forces to create and submit a proposal to create a joint center of excellence. This proposal would not be possible, obviously the members of the faculty that you have already met, our coordinator, Fedon Kyriakidis, Andrew Bevan, Mark Altawil, also from the Institute of Archaeology, from the University of Cyprus, George Papasalas, myself. But really a lot and most of the work has been done by the postdocs who have been working within the academic institutions, Athos Agapiou, Vasiliki Lysandrou, Andreas Haralambous, Dora Moutsiou, Maria Dikomitou. From the Department of Antiquities, Anthi Kalveli has put soul and many hours of work, not only for this conference. The speakers will know how much she has done in this month. It's really a miracle this conference has happened on the 31st of August, at the end of everybody's holidays. And I think I would like to thank everybody in our partnership, Apostolos Saris, also from Fourth, Plutarchos Pandelidis, I don't know if he's still here with us, from COT. Everybody really worked very hard to complete this proposal, to submit it by 11:59 this evening. Vasiliki and Athos are sitting in the back because they have their computers on and uploading things as the last deliverable of this project is this conference. I would really like to sincerely thank our speakers. They accepted the invitation to come in less than a month from receiving the invitation. I think they helped us understand what the challenges are, and in a way to make us feel better that we're not the only ones facing these challenges, and that we will be able to solve these problems if we do work together. I would like to thank you all for being here all of today. Those of you who are in Cyprus, we will meet again. We start our academic year, and we are back in business with our lecture series, and we will certainly meet again. Thank you again, and thank you also to Konstantinos Prastidis, who has been doing the technical support. And thank you to the Department of Antiquities. Dr. Maria Hieronymidou has had to go back to work, but thank you everyone for being here and joining us to this closing of the Medstach project, I think in the best possible way. And Fedon would like to say a few words.
I just want to thank everybody for responding so instantaneously, because it was actually almost that, to the invitation that went out in August. I think that we gave a glimpse of what we have had in our minds for a year, initially in a nebulous format, I should admit, but there was a sense that there was something hidden in this that we were sitting on and not even ourselves realizing the potential of it. All right, so I think that this program of the symposium gives you an idea about what could happen down the road with a center in Cyprus, within Cyprus, and especially in this Mediterranean region. Please keep my name out of your spam email box, because I will be sending out letters for soliciting support from you and from many others. So it just especially for the people that come from outside, as I said in the beginning, we think that there is a lot of potential in viewing this part of the world as a connected, as everybody in the world is, of course, but as a connected set of countries, and that we can actually build a lot by focusing on what is attracting a lot of attention, income, and actually also very challenging in terms of scientific inquiry and questions to be answered. Again, thank you everybody, and with that I would like to wish you a happy return trip for those of you that are from abroad, and happy driving back to whatever town of Cyprus you're in, or have a nice Friday evening for those of you that are going to be just relaxing. Thank you.
We'll be working.